China's been a very important part of the whole New Zealand export landscape.
For New Zealand, China is the perfect partner to help us decarbonise our economy.
Over 2/3 of them felt confident that they were going to grow their revenue here in China.
You need to kind of like do your homework first.
In an era of global economic uncertainty, the 2025 New Zealand Business Roundtable in China Business Outlook Report delivers a message of extraordinary confidence and optimism.
We had over 95% of respondents have at least a moderate level of optimism, and over 50% of them increased their revenue in the last year. Over 2/3 of them felt confident that they were going to grow their revenue here in China. And I think those numbers absolutely speak for themselves.
But perhaps the most significant trend is the strategic shift beyond China's traditional commercial hub.
And there is no question that in the last 2 to 3 years, we can go into Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities, provided we have the right logistics set up and we have good customers. So in the last 6 to 8 months, for example, I have visited Hefei, which is one of the fastest growing cities in China. We've been out to Chengdu a couple of times. And the rise of that trend is because there seems to be more disposable income in the 2nd and 3rd tier cities where there's a lower cost of living and where it seems a lot of young people are gravitating to follow more opportunity in terms of their lives, their families, working for interesting companies.
I think that there'll be a big shift that New Zealand businesses need to make around local talent and moving out of those Tier 1 hubs.
Technology is reshaping how New Zealand companies connect with Chinese consumers.
The data that's available from platforms like Xiaohongshu, from Kuaishou, certainly from Douyin and TikTok, is showing us, for example, that more than 70–80% of the people who are buying our fresh produce are women. They're aged between 28 and 48. They are getting their information from 3 or 4 key social media platforms, such as Xiaohongshu, and we know where those platforms are directing them to buy.
Yet challenges remain significant. 57% of companies cite domestic competition as their primary concern.
I think the competition is healthy because if you can compete in China, you can compete anywhere. And so it requires our companies to work hard, to understand the local market. I've seen in recent years coming to China the growth in marketing products through social media, through TikTok, through the live auction platforms. And so this is a fast-moving market with a lot of new ways to engage with consumers.
For legal expert Rocky Meng, success hinges on protecting IP and choosing the right partners.
I think one of the key things that are sort of like helping New Zealand companies to have more understanding, I think is the IP side of things, like IP protection. Put it on your radar before everything else goes in. Working with the right partner is another key one. Working with a right partner builds on more than just the person. You need to do it's kind of like a homework. It's like due diligence.
China is a very dynamic country, and the consumers and retail industry is changing really fast. So it's really important to understand that. The other part that's going to be important for New Zealand businesses is to make sure that they have a very clear and tight target market. Try not to be too broad, because that will be very difficult to try and penetrate. I think we need to move beyond. New Zealand's just been seen, we've leveraged our clean green image, and we've leveraged trust in food. And I think New Zealand businesses can move a little bit beyond that and also think about the values that New Zealand has in community, our ingenuity, and our Te Ao Māori identity.
The relationship extends beyond one-way trade.
I've witnessed over the last 10 years China's commitment to decarbonising and to the green economy. Here in Shanghai, you see many green number plates on cars. I drive the BYD car back in New Zealand. I also represent New Zealand on the APEC Business Advisory Council, And there I lead the work in the climate change area, working with my good friend Ning Ning, who is the senior China member of ABAC. And so I think for New Zealand, China is the perfect partner to help us decarbonise our economy. And I think New Zealand and China has made great progress in our trading relationship since the beginning of the free trade agreement. But I think there is still much potential.